Greetings and welcome to Nathan Lyle Official. My name is Nathan Lyle. If you've never been here before, this is my personal channel where I do vlogs, reviews, and anything else that happens to catch my fancy. Today, I'm doing a video where I don't know for 100% sure what the title is going to end up being. I may make it shorter and catchier when I upload it. But I am going to talk about a few 90s TV shows that I'm pretty sure most of you have never heard of.
Hold on to your butts.
For those of you who don't know me, I never really left my childhood behind. As others continued to grow up and leave behind PBS and other stuff, I continue to this very moment to watch children's cartoons.
To this day! To this day!
There are so many amazing shows from my childhood that really shaped me as a person, but I'm not going to talk about some of the most famous ones. I'm specifically avoiding shows like Pokemon, Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, because those are shows that continue to exist to this day, continue having new shows, new movies, as the generations continue passing, continue to be part of active pop culture.
It's a long story.
There's also a handful of shows that, even if it might not be the most popular thing ever, it was definitely popular as hell at the time, and it continues to remain of some cultural significance throughout the decades. There's shows that are still talked about today, like Gargoyles, Captain Planet. Shows on this list are shows that if I hadn't been there to see it happen, I might not know that they exist. I mean, legitimately, I have never heard these shows brought up in casual conversation unless I'm the one bringing them up. There are very few times that they are ever referenced in pop culture. There's no mention of them online unless I actively seek out mentions of them. The shows that I'm about to mention are shows that, at least from my perspective, seem to be slowly getting erased from the timeline. But I remember.
Nobody gets left behind or forgotten.
The first two shows I'm going to talk about are shows that are just popular enough and has managed to stay socially relevant just enough that they barely missed out on making the list, but I still wanted to take a second just to mention them because they were two of my favorites growing up, and that is Street Sharks and Biker Mice from Mars. Now, if you love Ninja Turtles, you should definitely give Street Sharks and Biker Mice from Mars a try, because they're all the same show in that it's about a group of anthropomorphic superheroes. Street Sharks was a ripoff of TMNT. It's literally a cash grab created specifically to sell toys and to be the anti-TMNT. It's a group of 4 teenage boys whose scientist father was kidnapped, and they got injected with shark DNA and became half human, half shark superheroes that fight a half piranha scientist. Biker Mice from Mars, it is what it says it is. It's about a bunch of human-sized, buff as fuck mice from the planet Mars who ride motorcycles. And in all honesty, if Hollywood was actually going to do a live-action adaptation of a popular kids classic, I feel like this one would be the easiest to do realistically while also staying true to the source material.
In this wild and woolly universe of ours, there's only 3 things you can count on. Your brains, your bros, and your bike. Helmets on!
And the last one I want to mention before we get to the actual list is one that, well, there's actually multiple reasons why it didn't make the list, not the least of which is that it debuted in 99, but the majority of its run is in the 2000s. I decided to focus on cartoons. This one's live action and puppets. And also, most importantly, it's actually pretty fucking popular, but I decided I wanted to talk about it just in case there are a few of you who haven't heard of Between the Lions. Between the Lions is about a family of lions who live and work at a public library, which I'm assuming they own, but that was not made clear. And if you're wondering, is this show as weird as it sounds? No. It's actually much weirder.
You wonder what's the matter when your mitt begins to chatter.
And a yam is going yakety-yak.
First that yam began to yammer, now my hammer's using grammar.
When I babble now, the building babbles back.
Can you imagine that?
While the show mostly focuses on the lions and their adventures, my favorite part of it is all the recurring segments that have nothing to do with the actual plot. Things like Silent E, Cliffhanger, the Monkey Pop-Up Theater.
Hey with the S and B and T and E and T and T. Hey with the T and E and S and B and 10 cents. Hey with the S and B and T and E and T and T. Hey with the T and E and S and B and 10 cents.
I also love how very self-aware the show is. I really appreciate someone who can poke fun at themselves for how ridiculous they know they're being.
Don't worry, sweetie. It's educational television. It must be good for you.
Okay, now that we got the special mentions out of the way, we're on to the actual list.
Finally!
So the first one on our list is a little gem called Pepper Ann. To completely oversimplify it, Pepper Ann is the female version of Doug. Pepper Ann is the first Disney animated show created by a woman, and it's about a teenage girl trying to navigate puberty, family, friendships, and every now and then her imagination gets away from her.
I've given up on going through Dad's old things. We are total strangers. If I bumped into him on the street, I probably wouldn't even recognize him.
Next up is a very little known show that I'm almost certain none of you watching this have ever heard of, much less seen. It's called Detention. This is a show that was on the WB in the late 90s. It ran for one season, like 10 to 13 episodes, somewhere in that range. Similar to Recess, it's about just a group of kids. I want to say they were like 10 to 12 years old, somewhere in that area. And the entire premise of the show is that every day they somehow find a new way to get themselves in trouble and end up in detention.
Trouble? Of course you're in trouble.
Next up is a show called The Weekenders, and I just gotta say, how the fuck is this show not on Disney Plus? The show is about a boy named Tito and his closest friends, and even though it shows you a little bit of their daily life, it heavily focuses on what they do over the weekend, hence the title of the show.
I'm living for the weekend.
Now, The Weekenders, I want to say it ran for like 4 seasons. It's hard to know for sure. I haven't seen it since it originally aired. Because I was so excited when Disney Plus came out. This was the first thing I looked for, but it's not on there. And every time I looked, it has not been on there, and I want to know why. Because it seems like everything that has ever been produced under the Disney umbrella somehow finds its way to this platform, except for the best show they've ever done. Why?
Yes, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell.
Now, there are many TV shows made with specific purposes. Now, for the vast majority of TV shows, that purpose is entirely just to entertain. But there's a lot that also have a purpose, such as like Reading Rainbow or Wishbone. The entire point of those shows was, hey, kids need to read more. There's like Captain Planet, which is a show about conservation of nature. But there's a show from the late 90s that I remember very vividly called Hysteria, which is a show that very much taught me a lot of historically inaccurate facts. And so many different segments just remain stuck in my head on a loop to this day.
Today's Spanish lesson.
El elefante es grande. El elefante es grande. El elefante es grande.
The elephant is gray and large.
El elefante es grande. El elefante es grande.
And last but certainly not least, I want to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog. I know what you're thinking. Sonic is a cultural phenomenon and has been mainstream for decades, so how dare you say we haven't heard of its TV show? There are multiple TV shows, and the least known one is my absolute favorite. It's Sonic Underground.
Sonic Underground!
This version shows Sonic as one of 3 triplets. His brother Sonic, and his sister Sonia, they were all born to the Queen, but she was forced to give them up in order to hide them from Robotnik, and now they team up to form a band who also fights against evil while looking for their mother. Well, that's it for the official list, but before we go, I'm still going to shout out a couple more of my childhood favorites. First of all, Beast Wars. Definitely very well known amongst the hardcore Transformer fans, especially the older generations, but as time goes by, it seems to be getting more lost in the shuffle, just because there are so many out there that exist. But Beast Wars was my favorite because every generation has its own Transformers. This is the one that came out when I was in elementary school. It's got the Autobots as wild animals and the Decepticons as dinosaurs.
Beast mode!
Another one that barely missed the list, Shadow Raiders. I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember much about this show, other than the fact that a bunch of different planets team together to fight something that threatens the entire universe. And I just remember loving it and thinking it was badass. Also, if you ever have free time, check out Homeboys in Outer Space. You will regret it. Well, that's it for me. I just wanted to shine a spotlight on a few of my personal favorites that I grew up with that no one seems to talk about. It is getting way too warm, so I'm going to call it a day. And until the next time you see me, have a great day, week, month, year, however long it is. Leave a like, leave a comment down below. Tell me if you've heard of any of these shows, if you saw any of these, and also any other video that you'd want to see me do.
You smoked all of it, didn't you?
I think a better